Okay, let's get into it. Today, we are doing a deep dive into the raw, first-hand account from Finesse 20 Times. He gives this really unique perspective on one of the most high-stakes and ultimately tragic feuds in recent hip-hop memory.
Right.
We're talking about the genesis, the escalation of the conflict between the late young Dolph, long-lived Dolph Yo Gotti's CMG camp, and of course, Moneybagg Yo.
And what's so fascinating here, what this source material gives us, it goes way beyond just rap beef history. It's really a case study in a complete communication breakdown. It shows how an outside narrative, one basically made up by the public, by the internet, just collides with this very specific and really inflexible personal code.
The jailhouse background, as he calls it.
Exactly. The code understood by people from that background.
So our mission today is to get past the headlines. We want to uncover that surprising, almost minor chain of events and the specific, highly volatile insults that turned what seemed like professional disrespect into a physical, real world.
A die tonight or go to jail scenario.
Exactly. All based on Finesse 2 Times' own words.
Yeah.
It's a look at how context and identity are, truly everything.
And it all starts from this position of, well, surprising neutrality.
It does. Finesse makes it clear right at the beginning he wasn't some inherent rival. He says he was a guy fan of Yo Gotti. He was in that CMG orbit.
Right.
But when it came to young Dolph, he says, and I'm quoting, "Never met bro and never had problem with him." So if there's no rivalry, how does this all just ignite?
Well, it starts with an accidental spark, a spark that's completely misinterpreted by the public. It really proves how fast the internet can just create a reality that forces people into a conflict.
Okay.
Finesse drops a song that he absolutely insists wasn't toward Young Dog.
And he even points to the specific lines that listeners kind of weaponize. The song had lines like, "Move around, nigga get mad," allegations.
Yeah.
Now, in the context of Memphis rap at that time, you hear those aggressive sort of general lines, and you immediately filter them through the lens of that massive Dolph versus Gotti beef.
And perception just becomes reality instantly. People online, they start saying, oh, shit, CMG didn't respond to Young Dog. It's all this external pressure just forcing its way into the situation.
Right. And this is where Finesse makes I think, a really crucial admission about his own role in this escalation. He didn't deny it was a diss.
He didn't. He said, I never said it wasn't, but it wasn't.
That ambiguity is so telling, isn't it? He just let the narrative stand. He basically validated the public's opinion that, yeah, this is a diss, even if that wasn't his intent. Why not just shut it down?
Well, because in that specific culture, allowing a sort of an ambiguous threat to stand, that can bolster your reputation. By not denying the beef, he stepped into the role the internet created for him.
So it was a strategic non-denial.
You could see it that way. And that non-denial, however strategic, led directly to young Dolph finally engaging for the very first time.
And that engagement.
Yeah.
That's where we get to the point of no return. Dolph didn't respond with a track. According to Finesse, he called people involved in the camps who were trying to mediate. Specifically, DJ Larry, who is Dolph's manager, and Moneybagg Yo. And that's when the whole conversation shifts. It goes from a perceived professional rivalry to a profound personal insult.
This is it. This is the critical juncture of the entire story. Finesse recounts the alleged quote from Dolph, and it was aimed right at Finesse's loyalty, his reputation.
What did he say?
The quote is, "Oh, I ain't got no problem with the Finesse nigga, but if you want to suck some CMG dick, he can."
Wow.
Yeah.
And just looking at the source material, that one phrase, that is what escalated this whole thing into a potential life or death situation. Why? Why does that specific insult carry so much non-negotiable weight in Finesse's world?
Okay, so we have to understand the code he's operating under. He immediately calls himself a jailhouse nigga.
Yeah.
And that's not just like a biographical detail. It's an identity. It's governed by a strict honor-based system where your reputation is everything. And any hint of subservience, any challenge to your masculinity is seen as a direct threat to your survival, to your status.
So saying suck some CMG dick is an attempt to completely delegitimize him, to reduce him to just some follower. It's not a generic taunt.
Precisely. In the jailhouse code, you cannot let that statement go unchallenged. Finesse explains how severe it is. In that environment, a phrase like that means it is about to go on lockdown.
Lockdown.
It's an insult that demands immediate physical retribution. You have to restore your honor. It's a fundamental, non-negotiable rule.
And Finesse draws a straight line to what he saw as Dolph's fatal mistake. He says Dolph ain't never been to jail, so he don't know that. He just didn't get that he was playing by a completely different rule book.
A rule book where those specific words were a direct threat, not just, a casual diss.
But hold on, I mean, Finesse is blaming the escalation on Dolph's ignorance of the code. But he also admits he let the diss track ambiguity stand earlier. Isn't there an element here of Finesse choosing to enforce that rigid code? Choosing to escalate it himself instead of trying to de-escalate?
I think that's a fair question. It seems like once that personal line was crossed, all the other context just evaporated.
Yeah.
Finesse is adamant about his personal rule. He says, you can't tell no nigga like me to suck no dick. Don't put my name and dick in the same sentence, bitch, right? And that's how I feel. I ain't wrong for it. I'm a man.
So for him, that was it, the point of no return, a challenge to his identity that had to be answered immediately. Consequences be damned.
And that intensity is what drove the mediation attempts. The people around them, they knew this had become volatile. They knew Finesse was ready to react physically.
Which is why DJ Larry and Moneybagg Yo jumped in right away. And it shows how complicated these relationships are. They were trying to downplay it, saying things like, man, they trying to make it sound like you diss him, trying to pull it back into the musical world.
And Moneybagg Yo, especially, he was in a really tough spot as the go-between. Finesse makes it really clear he had this deep loyalty to Moneybagg. He says, my bro gave me my first feature.
A debt of gratitude.
For sure. And that loyalty was strong enough that Finesse, at least initially, agreed to stand down. He gave his word. He just said, say no more, say no more, say no more.
So just for a second, loyalty and shared history actually won out over the code of vengeance. But if the insult was truly non-negotiable, how could he stand down at all? That kind of suggests the code was negotiable.
Well, maybe negotiable, but only through the intervention of a really respected third party. It was a truce, a temporary one, very fragile.
Right, because the underlying tension, that profound challenge to his honor, it wasn't really resolved, was it?
Not at all. It was just postponed out of respect for Moneybagg. And it only took one seemingly minor act of online escalation to completely shatter that peace.
And that brings us to the forgotten incident, the escalation through trolling. Finesse says he trolled him, referring to someone known as PR, which just reignited the entire situation.
It's just a textbook example of how fast unresolved personal issues can just flare right back up under the microscope of social media. That act of trolling, as minor as it sounds, it proved the truce was a facade. And it brought Moneybagg Yo back into it. But this time, he was genuinely frustrated.
And the change in Finesse's response to Moneybagg is, it's dramatic. Moneybagg calls him upset about the drama continuing, but Finesse is done with mediation.
He's past it.
His response just signals that his honor now comes before any friendships, any business ties, everything.
And his reply to that phone call was just brutal. He says, nigga, if you don't get your bitch ass off my phone, boy, you don't holler at me. You holler at them niggas around, nigga, don't holler at me, boy, where you at?
And that's the moment. That's when the conflict officially leaves the world of music and the internet. Finesse is aggressively pushing his own mediator away and challenging the other side to a physical meeting. Right now.
Absolutely. The confrontation isn't about rap anymore. It is strictly about a physical defense of reputation and code.
Which brings us to the final, really dramatic escalation. The challenge. Finesse names a specific public location and issues this incredible ultimatum.
The location he chose was the Prem parking lot, and the challenge itself was definitive. Meet me a pre-parking lot. Bitch, bring all your soldiers, and we gonna die tonight or go to jail.
That choice of location is that significant. The Prem parking lot. Was it a known spot, a symbolic place for a showdown? It feels like he wasn't just making a threat, he was selecting a public battleground.
He was choosing a time and a place that proved his commitment to the code. And what really separates this account from just, standard rap bravado is that Finesse confirms he followed through.
He went there.
He went there. He says he went to the Prem parking lot and he FaceTimed her, some unnamed person related to the dispute, from the parking lot, proving he was there, ready to act on his ultimatum.
That act of FaceTiming from the location, that's not just bragging. That's providing proof. Incontrovertible proof that he upheld the code of the jailhouse, forcing them to either meet him or lose face.
Exactly. It turns the whole thing into a public test of honor.
And what's so crucial here is the hindsight Finesse offers on his own actions. He reflects on this whole explosive period and admits, he says, I was wrong, I ain't know no better. And he clarifies he wasn't trying to seem tough by telling this story. He's acknowledging that the emotional intensity of that moment was just overwhelming.
That admission, I was wrong, that's really significant.
Hmm.
It paints a picture of this intense, boiling emotion that needed someone else to stop it. He says others had to call him and callous him or calm him down. He was the one driving the physical escalation.
Yeah.
And it emphasizes that even in this high-stakes world, the commitment was fundamentally personal. He mentions his crew during these standoffs was tiny. He says, just me and little Marker.
Wow.
This entire scenario, this
Yeah.
profound escalation leading to a threat of violence or prison, was driven by maybe 2 or 3 people over a few specific words.
So if we step back and kind of synthesize this whole deep dive, what is the core lesson that Finesse's narrative is offering us here?
I mean, the narrative just reveals the inherent instability of these honor-based systems.
Right.
A single, critical verbal attack seen through the lens of a highly specific, non-negotiable cultural code.
The jailhouse mentality.
Right. It immediately overrides everything. Existing professional relationships, friendships. It escalates from internet chatter to an active physical showdown.
It really shows that the weight of words changes dramatically based on the listener's lived experience, not the speaker's intent.
And the thesis of the whole source material remains so potent. Finesse blames the whole tragedy on young Dolph's lack of experience in that prison environment, the fact that he ain't never been to jail.
Which caused him to use a diss phrase that, maybe in other contexts is commonplace, but here it struck at the very core of Finesse's identity and his reputation. It was a complete failure to recognize the cultural stakes.
It all boiled down to that one critical communication failure, and it was magnified by the court of public opinion.
So that leaves a final thought for you. If verbal attacks exist inside these cultural rule sets where certain words carry so much more weight based on lived experience, what other conflicts, social, professional, are unnecessarily escalating in your own life because one person is completely unaware of the strict, non-negotiable cultural code, whether it's professional or regional or social, that's held by the other? Something for you to mull over as you start to recognize the hidden power structures of language in your own world.